PT on Ice Daily Show. Happy Thursday morning to all of you out there. I'll be your host today. My name is Alan, serving as COO of Ice, faculty member in the Fitness Athlete Division, and helping out in the Older Adult Division as well. First things first, I want to apologize for my hair. I think today is the day where I finally surrender to letting my girlfriend cut my hair. She assures me that if it gets messed up, we can just shave it bald, which is, of course, not an option. For those who don't know, my head is very lumpy and misshapen like Uncle Fester, so I definitely don't look good with a shaved head. So hopefully we can avoid that, but if you see me on here next week with a shaved head, you know how the haircut went down. Thursday, it's Leadership Thursday. That's what we're going to talk about today. But it's also Gut Check Thursday. Today's Gut Check is the Support Your Local Box fundraiser, the third workout. Some dumbbell deadlifts, some sit-ups, box step-ups, and single-arm dumbbell thrusters. We posted the full workout last night. This morning we posted the older adult version, and here in a little bit the pregnancy and postpartum edition will be posted as well. So make sure you check out all the modifications we're offering for that workout. Remember, if you post your score and tag us on social media, you have a chance to win a Gut Checked t-shirt, and the only way to get that is by doing Gut Check Thursday. So we give a shirt out every month. You have a chance to win that special shirt. Yesterday we launched the Clinical Management of the Fitness Athlete exercise library, over 100 exercises, drills, correctives, strengthening exercises, and mobility exercises for your patients and athletes. You can grab the first section of that by going to ptonice.com and clicking on the resources tab. The full thing is only $29. You get lifetime access as we add more exercise to that. So it's a great resource, especially for those of you that are working with fitness athletes. Speaking of fitness athletes, we have Clinical Management Fitness Athlete Essential Foundations starting next week. That course is almost full. That's a great course if you're looking to get introduced to the fitness athlete population, or if you're just interested in loading your current patient population up a little bit heavier and starting to incorporate high-intensity exercise with them as well. And then Fitness Athlete Advanced Concepts starts Sunday also, and that course is actually very close to full. I think that course has 3 spots left. That's great if you've already taken Essential Foundations and you're looking to really become the provider of choice with the fitness athlete, get really deep into programming, how to program for an individual, how to program for a group, how to program mobility, how to program for injured athletes, all sorts of things, programming, advanced weightlifting, and gymnastics as well. So that course starts Sunday. Go to ptnice.com and check those courses out. Okay, today's topic: starting your own business, starting your own clinic practice. When you're doing that, what should you have in your mindset? You should ask yourself, do I want to be a business owner, or do I want to be self-employed? Do I just have an interest in kind of working for myself, being my own boss, making my own hours, and earning revenue that way? And so the context for this comes from a question that we get all the time. When should you know when it's time to take your side hustle full time? When are you ready to hire a second clinician? And what does that process actually look like? Hey, I've been out here treating people in the gym for a year. I'm pretty busy. When do I know it's okay to quit my 9 to 5? When do I know that I'm actually ready to grow and maybe hire a second person to work alongside me? And the first thing we need to do is start with why. Why are you doing this? Are you interested in kind of growing a business, growing a clinical practice in your city, in your region, in your current market that you have a specialty in? Or are you just interested in, again, working for yourself, making your own hours, that sort of thing? So we start with the business ownership side. You really need to have a long-term vision on board. And when I say this, I don't mean write out where do you see the company in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. We can't possibly know all of that detail. But you do need to have a good idea of, hey, I see myself eventually running a larger business and maybe reducing the amount of patient care time that I have, or maybe eventually getting to the point where I stop entirely and I'm just managing and running a business and helping be the part of the business that keeps the business growing, hiring more clinicians, getting more patients on board, expanding into new both physical areas and practice areas as well. And you have this idea at some point that it's going to involve a lot of risk, and hopefully you make that decision before you start your practice. Because when you have that mindset that this is going to go beyond me, I want this to go beyond me. As Jeff told me when he started ICE and he brought me on board many years ago, I said, what is your vision? And of course, Jeff being Jeff, he said, I don't do that type of thing. And I said, okay, well, where do you see this going? Do you see this just being you teaching courses every weekend and with just some logistical help on the side? Or where do you see this going? And he said, I don't want this to be the Jeff Moore Roadshow forever or really anymore. I see this growing much, much bigger. And that's a very different mindset that understands that it's going to have a lot of risk, especially financial, and it's going to require a lot of liquid capital. When we're talking about running a clinic, we really need to pull is very little money from the money that we make to pay our personal bills. So the person that goes into starting practice with the business mindset understands that growth takes money, right? You got to spend money to make money. That money is for a lot of different things. That money is to grow your physical space, right? If you're starting in a gym and you want to have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 clinicians, you're going to need to expand your space, or you're going to need to secure space in other gyms or something like that. Somehow, you're going to need to expand your space physically. You can't have 5 clinicians treating in the same corner of the same gym at the same time. That just doesn't happen. You start to run into issues too in a smaller clinic where you're sharing the same single treatment room. You're doing new evals out in the gym. You know, Frank's doing kettlebell swings right here while you're trying to evaluate Doris. It's just not a good setup. So we need that money to secure more physical space. We also need to pay the people that we're hiring, right? We need to have a way to pay them, whether we're paying them a salary or we're giving them benefits or something like that. Maybe we're giving them a percentage of what they generate, but they still need some money up front, right? Because they're quitting probably a current job to come work for you. They can't just work for free until their schedule gets full enough. We also need money for marketing. We need money for new equipment, and we need money to kind of expand the clinic into new areas. You can't just have 10 clinicians that are really skilled at treating the post-op knee replacement patient population, right? There's only so many folks that you're going to be able to see in an area if that's your only specialty. We need to send people to get training in specialties, have the equipment that they need to perform that specialty. If you're thinking about things like bringing a pelvic floor PT on board, you need to probably redesign a treatment room to be much more private. You're going to need some more equipment, that sort of thing. So overall, you're going to need money for growth, and that implies that as the owner, as the leadership, you're not going to be taking cash from the business at the end of the month or end of the year to pay yourselves. What we see in successful businesses that grow large and grow rather fast, all things considered how big they are, is that the ownership may go months before they start to take their first paycheck, or even years. So here on the clinical side, at the start of this year is when Mitch and I first started paying ourselves from the clinic, right? We've been working at the clinic since August 2018, so almost 18 months before we started to pay ourselves. And we have the business ownership mindset in the back of our head, right? We know we're going to need liquid cash. We first of all want to make sure the business model is viable. Hey, are people actually coming to see us? Is the schedule full? And is it sustainable? Does it seem to be a recurring thing that the schedule is full and not just some sort of initial fluke when we first open the doors? And at the end of the 18 months, deciding, okay, there's a bunch of money left over after expenses. It turns out this is viable and this is sustainable, and we can start to pay ourselves. But you don't want to do that too early, right? You don't want to pay yourself and then find yourself in a position where your revenue is down and you've also depleted the business bank account to pay your personal bills. That's a bad situation to be in. So having that mindset that maybe you're working somewhere else, maybe you've saved up a ton of money, or maybe you've pulled out a bank loan or something like that, or maybe from the bank of mom and dad with low interest, to have that initial money to not need to deplete the business funds. And so that's the business owner mindset. What is the self-employment mindset look like? That vision is much more short-term. And when I get into this, I don't want to make it seem like business owner mindset is good, self-employment mindset is bad. It's just different, right? So that self-employment mindset is much more short-term. Hey, I just want to start seeing patients. I maybe want to quit my 9 to 5 or slowly transition from my 9 to 5. And really, what I'm looking for is that after all my expenses are paid, all of that revenue, all of that net profit is going to pay my personal bills, right? I'm going to see patients, use that money, pay my bills, and just kind of be self-employed. And again, that's okay. But if you find yourself, your schedule getting full, and you find yourself having that question of when do I know it's time to hire a second person, if you're using all of the money that the business makes for your personal bills, there's not a lot left over to then fuel that growth. So it's a different mindset, and it can be rougher to expand if you find yourself in a situation where you are so busy that you need a second person, or maybe you need some logistical help, or you need to grow physically as well. You can run into an issue, especially if you're saying, hey, I'm going to hire somebody and I'm going to give them 50% of everything they generate, and I'm going to keep the other 50% for expenses. If you're doing that as a salary, you're going to obviously need that liquid cash up front to start paying them, especially as you start to transition some of your caseload to them and they build theirs up. Those initial first weeks or even months are going to be slower revenue-wise, and you're going to need that liquid cash to be able to pay them a salary. If you are paying them a percent and saying, I'm not giving you a base salary at all, then where's the money coming from, right? Where's the money coming from to pay for equipment, to pay for new stuff, right? Again, you don't want to be sharing treatment tables. It's really annoying when you want to have Tom hit the squat rack and do some deadlifts, and your other clinician has their same 9 o'clock patient using it, right? And you start to bump into that situation where you don't have enough equipment. So that money has to come from somewhere. And if you're saying, hey, it's your responsibility to fill your own schedule and I'm going to take 50% of the revenue, then sometimes that clinician says, well, what am I working for you for, right? If I'm not getting equipment, if I'm not getting, my own treatment room, if you're not helping me fill my schedule, then why am I even working here, right? So you got to make sure that you're giving them some incentive to be on board with you and to let you take some of their revenue. And again, that requires that money for things like marketing, equipment, and growth. And so what we see very often is that person that comes into this practice ownership with that self-employment mindset never really grows beyond one person. Maybe they grow to have a second person with them part-time, but you see a lot of practices that are single clinician or maybe two clinicians, and they're stuck there for maybe sometimes years or forever. And it's because they went into it with the self-employment mindset, and they're stripping the profit from the business every single month, and there's just not a lot left over to keep that business growing. And again, this is okay. There's nothing wrong with that, but you have to recognize that your growth will be much slower or really hard to do at all. And you're going to need to really have a full schedule for multiple people and slowly save that cash month over month and sometimes year over year to then expand. And then once you expand, you're basically starting all over. So we see this really stagnant or even slow growth that happens over time. And this is where your why has to be really rock solid. I talked on Virtual Ice on Tuesday about starting your own practice for 2 hours, and I really hammered on this point at the start. I know Sarah and Kate with our Auto Network course, they really front load this as well. You have to make sure your why is really rock solid. If PT is just a thing that you do to pay your bills so you can go do other stuff that you enjoy much more, and again, there's nothing wrong with that, but if you're that person, then this can get very grindy, right? When you are spending years and years and years saving a couple $100 a month, a couple $1,000 a month, trying to save up enough liquid cash to expand, then practice can get quite grindy. And we see a lot of folks maybe even close the doors on their own practice and go back to working for a larger clinic change. So know that your why has to be rock solid here. So I hope that helps. We get that question a lot. When should I start? When is a good time to start? When is a good time to transition my side hustle? And maybe if I am owning my own practice or I've leveled up my side hustle, when should I hire that second person? What does that look like to hire an employee underneath me? What do all those things look like? And that's kind of the mindset that we approach it with. So I hope that helps. Don't forget about Gut Check Thursday. Don't forget about Hump Day Hustling. If you're not signed up for Hump Day Hustling yet, go to ptonice.com, scroll to the bottom. We love to send that email out to you every Wednesday morning with the newest research and content that's come out in the past week. Don't forget ptonice.com on the resources tab. We have the Quarantine Con Ed package for free for you. We have the Persistent Pain lecture series from Justin Dunaway for free for you. We have the first lecture on nutrition from the Exercise Physiology course for free for you. And then you'll see a little teaser on there. We we have a brand new mini course coming up in the next few weeks about managing TMD, all things evaluation, treatment, exercise, manual therapy for TMD, addressing the TMJ. So that's coming from Zach Morgan and Jordan Berry. I looked at their slides this morning on Canva. They're gorgeous. Lots of pictures and videos for the manual therapy and the exercise treatment. So we're excited to bring that to you all as well. That'll hopefully be coming by the end of April. And then tomorrow, Zach will be here joining you on Fitness Athlete Friday to talk all things muscular hypertrophy. So have a great Thursday. Have a great weekend. I'll see you all next week. Bye, everybody.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. And be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptonice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.